All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome back. We are going to continue our little whirlwind tour through the 2025 NFL Draft. I said I was going to try to get hopefully all of this stuff out before the season starts. More realistically, it might be a couple of days into the season when I finish up here. So we're going to go ahead and hit the accelerator and try to get as far as we can. And today we're going to be taking a look at tackle. I'm just kind of I'm gonna group tackle into one group here and maybe split it into two videos rather than getting too far into the weeds on who's on the left side and who's on the right side, because that changes from day to day anyway sometimes, and you never really know where someone's going to land anyway. So we're just going to take a look at the offensive tackle position. And keep in mind, anybody we talk about in this series could end up at right tackle instead of left tackle, could end up sliding inside. Who knows? It's hard to figure this out sometimes. Sometimes you figure it out by watching them play, and you realize that at the NFL level, they're going to have to move elsewhere. But we're going to talk a bit about these tackles. It's not bad of a crop. It doesn't have a super blue chipper like most classes do. It doesn't have somebody who is currently slated to be in the top 5. It doesn't even have someone who's currently slated to be top 10. But we do have, according to the consensus big board, 3 guys that have first round grades and then 3 guys who have second round grades. So this video, we're going to take a look at the 3 guys who have the first round grades and try to figure out who we like and figure out if there should be any interest here, because I mean, anything can happen, right? Anything can happen, but as of right now, you're looking at the Seahawks and you're thinking about tackle. Left tackle, you're probably good. Charles Cross, it's a big year for him, but even if he doesn't have an amazing season, even if he just plays decent, that'll probably justify keeping him around because next year is the last year of his rookie deal. He'll still be quite cheap. And then after 2025, you might have to make a decision. So one way or the other, left tackle is probably fine for now. What is not fine for now would be right tackle, where we have no idea what's going on with Abe Lucas. And it would not shock me if we go into this upcoming offseason in a few months thinking we need a blue chip right tackle for this offense because Abe Lucas will never be dependable again. I think that a lot of people are kind of bracing for impact on that one, knowing that there's a very good chance that that's the way things are going to go when this season wraps up. So we do need to pay attention to this group just for the purposes of right tackle stuff, as well as the potential slide inside. But let's start off with the current top tackle prospect on the database, Will Campbell of LSU. So, been a starter there for a couple of years. Last year, obviously, was a big year for anybody who played on that LSU offense. They were really, really good last year, protecting Jaden Daniels' blind side. He is, Campbell, that is, a true prototype for the left tackle position in terms of size and weight and height and all those attributes that you typically look at for a tackle. He has them. So he is a prototypical left tackle. He can play in space and showcases good athletic ability. He's somebody who can lead on a pull block. He's somebody who can peel from one side of the line to the other. He's somebody who can climb up to the second level. He's got that stuff down. He's playing at LSU, which means you're dealing with elite competition, right? Most years you're going to be going up against the best of the best. You're going to get a game against Alabama. You're going to get a game against a team like Texas A&M. Sometimes they're really good. You're going to get a game against teams like Florida State. You're going to get games against teams like sometimes Florida's good. Sometimes Auburn's really good. Not so much lately, but you're going to get a chance against really good teams. And most of the time, you're going to have every opportunity to prove that you can hold your own against the best of the best. He's really quick out of his stance. He's very explosive coming out of his stance in run blocking. He builds up so much momentum going into his run blocking that it's really hard to hold up against him. He has a lot of push. He's very strong. It's just really hard to hold up against him. He's also very measured in how he handles pass rushers. He's got a good mirror. He stays in front of them, shuffles well, slides his feet well. Lateral quickness is pretty good. So he is a very well-rounded tackle prospect. There really isn't that much you can criticize him on. Honestly, the things that you can criticize him on are things that should be fixable. Like, Sometimes he's overly aggressive and he lunges at the waist to make contact with the defender. And when you do that, that's how you get beat by the counter move. That's how you get kind of baited into doing something you shouldn't be doing. So that's something that can be coached up, though, right? A good coach should be able to fix that. And he also has to improve his hand usage, his tempo with the way he plays, patty cake with these defenders is sometimes not where it needs to be. Needs to become a little bit more balanced in his hand usage. But that's another thing that should be fixable, right? So Will Campbell to me is a guy who absolutely could become a top 10 or top 5 pick by the end of this college football season, because I think he's really, really good. And I think that if the problems that he has aren't fixed by the end of this year, they will be looked at as fixable by a lot of coaches. So Will Campbell seems to be the number one guy. Next guy, right behind him currently on the aggregate, would be Kelvin Banks of the Texas. So Texas Longhorn here, he's had 2 starting years as well. Both of them were quite good, quite respectable for a team that mounted a really elite offense last year in particular. So lots of good experience starting for prolific offense, just like Will Campbell had. He's a really good athlete. He's got great movement skills. He can play in space. He's somebody who can cover a lot of ground if he needs to. Somebody who can peel up to the second level and throw blocks on linebackers. Somebody who can be used as a pull guard, or excuse me, a pull tackle. So that kind of stuff is there. He's comfortable in space against the run and against the or not against the run or pass, but when running or passing. So there's a ability that he has to move. He's a very natural mover, and he's got the size that you're looking for in a left tackle as well. He's not undersized, he's not weak, he's not small. He's kind of a pretty close to a prototype, but he's still got the movement skills. Should be able to work in zone or gap scheme. So whatever you want to do as a running team, if you want to run zone, if you want to run gap, you should be fine. So I like him as a flexible and versatile option at the left tackle spot. Some of the issues that he loses technique sometimes. It's kind of the same thing I said with Campbell. You lunge, you bend at the waist when you're trying to make contact with a pass rusher. They hit you with the counter move, and sometimes you're out of position to beat it. So that's something that can be fixed. He also probably needs to get a little bit stronger. I think he can, and I think he will. I'm not worried about it, but he does need to add a little bit of muscle to his frame. And sometimes his block sustain is a little bit disappointing. He doesn't hold the block as long as you would like. So there's some stuff that he's got to work on, but he's another really, really strong left tackle prospect. And I imagine that there's going to be some team in the top 15 that ends up taking him to fix their whatever issues they may have out there. I don't like him as much as Campbell, but it's not too far off. It's just a couple of things that need to be improved on. And I feel like there's a little bit more you can be concerned about there than Campbell personally. Okay, so final guy that we're going to look at in this video is the final of the current first round guys, Emery Jones Jr., also of LSU. So right then and there, I say that, and you should get excited because that means this guy's playing right tackle. And yeah, he's a right tackle. He's played a vast majority of his snaps at right tackle in his career. He's played a little bit at right guard, but mostly he is a right tackle. So if you're thinking about an Abraham Lucas worst case scenario plan, this guy is probably going to head the list, at least in terms of prospect value. So this guy might be more interesting to us than either of the first two. So he's got 2 years starting at LSU under his belt. The first year, obviously not graded out so well, but he wasn't bad. He was understandable. And last year when LSU's offense took off, he was graded quite respectably. He's got a high football IQ. That's actually something that seems to really stand out about him. He's very cerebral and very savvy on the field, very good understanding of what he's looking at when he's lining up pre-snap and knows where he needs to be, kind of understands what's coming based on what he's seeing in front of him. He's really good at handling pass rushers, really good at dealing with counter moves, really good at dealing with the better pass rushers out there. Again, this is another guy facing elite competition playing for LSU. He's also strong enough to hold up against a bull rush. So if you're a pass rusher, it's hard to get this guy. if you have a lot of moves, if you're one of these really crafty pass rushers, he's got the ability to hang with you. And if you're a bull rusher, somebody who just wants to run through him, he's got the strength to hold up against that. Um, Emery Jones may end up as an inside player. He may end up at guard. It's at least possible. There is some school of thought that he doesn't have the ideal lateral quickness or ability to move in space, and that he might be better inside. But to me, it's a situation where he would be a guaranteed elite player inside, but he'd still be a really good right guard. So I think it's one of those things where it's not like he's going to have to. He might just prefer to slide to the inside. He's a brutal finisher and run blocking, somebody who really wants to get his guy on the ground and end the play. He's got great hands. The way he uses his hands is really good. But the concerns would be he's a little slow in space, so he doesn't have the greatest mobility, the greatest agility, not an ideal scheme fit, which is why he's a right tackle more than a left tackle at the end of the day anyway. And sometimes he can get beat to the edge. He can get beat to the edge sometimes, which is why some people say, hey, maybe a move to guard. But I do view this guy as a really good right tackle prospect. One of the better ones that I've seen lately. Last year was really good with the right tackle prospects. I think this guy's up there with them. So I'm pretty into it. Maybe he's not a perfect scheme fit, but I think he'll work. So that is the third and final of our first round tackles. A little bit later today, I'll talk about the three guys who are currently second round projections, because I do want to dig a little bit deeper here, because this could be interesting. But those are my thoughts on the top three guys. Let me know what you think down below. I'm going to get out of here. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what's up. Let me know how you feel.